Imagine a world where contracts execute themselves automatically without the need for intermediaries. This is not a scene from a futuristic movie. It's the potential reality brought to life by smart contracts. At their core, smart contracts are self-executing agreements, with the terms of the contract directly written into lines of code. This means that once the conditions of the contract are met, the contract automatically fulfills its obligations without any human intervention. They operate on blockchain technology, which ensures that once a contract is deployed, it cannot be altered or tampered with, providing an unparalleled level of transparency and security. To better understand smart contracts, let's contrast them with traditional contracts. Imagine you're entering into a rental agreement. In the traditional sense, you would sign a paper contract, which requires both parties to trust each other and often involves a third party, like a lawyer, for enforcement. If either party fails to uphold their end of the deal, it can lead to disputes, delays, and costly legal battles. Now picture the same rental agreement executed as a smart contract. The terms such as rent amount, due date, and penalties for late payment are encoded into the blockchain. When you submit the rent on time, the smart contract automatically recognizes this and updates the records accordingly. If you fail to pay, the contract can automatically impose penalties or even lock you out of the property, all without needing a lawyer or court intervention. This level of automation reduces bureaucracy and enhances efficiency, which is particularly significant in government operations, where delays can lead to frustration and inefficiency. As we explore the realm of governance, the implications of smart contracts are vast. They can streamline processes such as tax collection, public fund allocation, and even voting mechanisms. By automating these functions, governments can not only reduce the costs associated with manual processes, but also enhance accountability and trust in public institutions. The question we must consider is not just how smart contracts can improve efficiency, but how they can transform the very foundation of trust and governance in society. What if the future of government relies on code rather than individuals? This shift could redefine how we allocate resources and ensure that our systems operate with integrity and transparency. Imagine walking into a government office, filling out a form, and within minutes receiving the approval you need, instead of waiting weeks for a simple decision. This isn't a far-off dream. It's the potential reality offered by the implementation of smart contracts in public services. As we delve into specific examples, we will uncover how these digital agreements are revolutionizing government operations, creating a more efficient and responsive system. Smart contracts, as we discussed earlier, are self-executing agreements where the terms are encoded in software. They can automate processes that typically involve extensive paperwork and numerous approvals. One of the most compelling examples comes from Estonia, a pioneer in digital governance. In this small Baltic nation, nearly all government services are available online, and they have begun integrating smart contracts into their tax collection system. Here, smart contracts automatically calculate tax liabilities based on real-time data, ensuring accurate and timely collection without the need for bureaucratic delays. This not only speeds up the process, but reduces the chances of errors and disputes. Imagine a world where your tax return is processed and funds are allocated without the usual snail's pace of traditional processes. The benefits extend beyond just tax collection. In New Zealand, the government is exploring the use of smart contracts for public fund allocation. When a project receives funding, the smart contract can automatically release payments based on predefined milestones. This means that as soon as a certain stage of a public project is completed, the funds are released immediately, ensuring that projects remain on track and reducing the risk of mismanagement or corruption. This kind of automation can lead to faster, more transparent governance, where taxpayers can see exactly how and when their money is spent. Another noteworthy example comes from the city of Zug in Switzerland, known as Crypto Valley. Here, local authorities are experimenting with smart contracts to streamline various public services, including business registrations and permits. By using a blockchain-based system, businesses can register and receive permits almost instantaneously, facilitating a business-friendly environment that encourages innovation and economic growth. These examples illustrate a common thread: the potential for smart contracts to drastically reduce bureaucracy and improve service delivery in government. Instead of waiting weeks or even months for approvals, citizens can access services in mere minutes. However, While the promise of efficiency is enticing, it is essential to consider the implications of such a shift. What happens to the traditional roles within government when processes become automated? How can we ensure that accountability is maintained when decisions are made by code? These questions remind us that while smart contracts can enhance public service delivery, integrating them into existing frameworks requires careful thought and robust governance structures. As we look toward the future, the balance between automation and accountability will be a crucial aspect of this transformation. The potential for a government that operates smoothly and transparently, where citizens can interact with their public services seamlessly, is within our grasp, but it demands a careful approach to implementation. Imagine a world where decisions that shape our lives are made not by elected officials, but by lines of code. Can a government truly be accountable if its decisions are dictated by algorithms? This question strikes at the heart of the challenges we face when integrating smart contracts into governance structures. While the promise of efficiency and transparency is enticing, we must navigate the complexities and potential pitfalls that such a shift entails. Smart contracts, which are self-executing agreements with the terms written directly into code, rely heavily on clear input and output parameters. This means that for these contracts to function effectively, we must define the rules and conditions with precision. But therein lies a significant challenge. How do we ensure that these parameters reflect the nuanced needs of a diverse population? The risk of oversimplifying complex societal issues into rigid code is ever present, and we must tread carefully to avoid creating systems that lack the flexibility to adapt to unexpected circumstances. Moreover, accountability becomes even more crucial in a system where decisions are automated. If a smart contract executes a decision that adversely affects citizens, who is responsible? Is it the programmer who wrote the code, the government that implemented it, or the system itself? Without robust governance frameworks in place, we may find ourselves in a scenario where accountability becomes blurred, leading to a loss of trust in public institutions. This is why understanding the interplay between smart contracts and existing governance structures is essential. As we explore this integration, we must consider how our current systems can evolve to accommodate the unique nature of smart contracts. For example, traditional governance models often rely on human discretion and interpretation. In contrast, smart contracts operate on logic and predetermined conditions. This fundamental difference challenges us to rethink how we enforce accountability. Could we design oversight mechanisms that not only track the execution of smart contracts, but also allow for human intervention when necessary? The idea of building in layers of checks and balances becomes vital, ensuring that while automation enhances efficiency, it does not strip away the human element essential for governance. As we look ahead, we must engage in thoughtful dialogue about how to adapt our governance frameworks to embrace the potential of smart contracts while safeguarding against their inherent risks. The journey will require collaboration across disciplines, from technology to law, to ensure that we create a system that is not only efficient but also just and accountable. The question remains, can we strike the right balance between automation and accountability, allowing smart contracts to enhance governance without compromising the principles of democracy and public trust? What if citizens could vote on every government decision through a digital platform? Imagine a world where your voice matters not just during elections, but in the minutiae of governance itself. This is the promise of decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, a transformative model that leverages blockchain technology to create a new paradigm for governance. Unlike traditional systems where a select few make decisions behind closed doors, DAOs allow for transparent and democratic decision-making, where every participant can engage directly with the process. To grasp the significance of DAOs, we must first understand their foundational principles. At their core, DAOs operate on smart contracts, self-executing agreements coded to fulfill specific conditions without the need for intermediaries. This means that once a proposal is submitted and approved by the community, the execution is automatic and transparent, reducing the risk of corruption or mismanagement. For instance, consider a community deciding how to allocate funds for local projects. Instead of relying on a city council's judgment, community members can vote on proposals directly through a DAO platform. The results are recorded on the blockchain, ensuring that the processes are not only transparent, but also immutable. This enhances citizen engagement, as individuals have a direct stake in the outcomes that affect their lives. In contrast, traditional governance often suffers from a lack of accountability. Decisions can be influenced by political agendas or behind-the-scenes negotiations, leaving citizens feeling disenfranchised. DAOs, however, are designed to empower individuals by giving them a voice in the decision-making process. This shift is not merely a technological advancement, it represents a fundamental rethinking of how we view governance itself. What would it mean for accountability if every decision was traceable and auditable? With a DAO, each vote and transaction is recorded, making it easier for citizens to hold their representatives accountable. Yet, the transition to a DAO-driven governance model is not without challenges. Questions arise about the digital divide. How do we ensure that everyone has access to participate? Furthermore, we must consider the implications of token-based voting systems, where those with more tokens might wield disproportionate influence. These are complex issues that require careful thought and design. Despite these challenges, the potential benefits of DAOs are significant. They can foster a culture of participation, where governance is not seen as a chore, but as an opportunity for collaboration and innovation. Imagine a society where citizens are actively engaged in shaping policies that impact their daily lives, leading to more responsive and effective governance. It's essential to remember that DAOs are not a panacea. They represent a new tool in our governance toolkit, one that must be implemented thoughtfully to complement existing structures rather than replace them outright. The idea of blending traditional governance with decentralized models opens up exciting possibilities. Could we see a future where local governments utilize DAOs for community decision-making while maintaining traditional oversight for larger issues? This hybrid approach could harness the strengths of both systems, marrying the efficiency and transparency of DAOs with the experience and stability of established governance. Ultimately, as we navigate this evolving landscape, we should remain focused on the core tenets of democracy: accountability, transparency, and inclusiveness. DAOs have the potential to enhance these principles, but their success will depend on our willingness to adapt and innovate. As we move forward in this exploration of governance and technology, let us keep questioning: how can we leverage these new tools to create a more equitable and participatory society? Imagine a society where government functions seamlessly, like a well-oiled machine, governed not by the whims of individuals, but by the precise logic of digital contracts. What would our daily lives look like if every decision, from allocating public funds to enforcing laws, was executed automatically through smart contracts? This is not just a futuristic fantasy, it's a thought experiment that invites us to ponder the profound implications of fully automated governance. As we explore this potential reality, we must reflect on the societal impacts that such a shift could bring. On one side, we envision a landscape where efficiency reigns supreme. With smart contracts, bureaucratic red tape could be slashed dramatically, allowing for faster responses to citizens' needs. Imagine applying for social services and receiving immediate approval, without the usual delays caused by human error or corruption. The transparency embedded in these contracts could serve as a deterrent to misconduct, as every transaction is recorded on an immutable ledger, accessible for public scrutiny. However, as we dream of this streamlined future, we must also confront the ethical considerations that arise. How do we ensure that a fully automated government remains accountable to its citizens? The algorithms that govern decision-making must be transparent and fair. Otherwise, we risk perpetuating biases or creating systems that favor the privileged few. This presents a crucial dialogue that society must engage in. Are we technologically ready for such a leap? While the allure of automation is strong, we must ask ourselves whether we trust these systems enough to relinquish human oversight. The challenge lies not merely in the technology itself, but in our collective readiness to embrace a governance model that prioritizes efficiency over personal touch. As we imagine this future, it's imperative to consider how society will adapt to these changes. Will citizens feel empowered or disenfranchised by the absence of traditional governance structures? The balance between automation and accountability is delicate, and it requires ongoing dialogue and engagement from all sectors of society. We must explore what it means to be governed by code rather than representatives. In this potential future, citizens might not just be passive recipients of government services. They could become active participants in shaping policy through decentralized platforms. This shift could lead to a more engaged citizenry where the lines between governance and participation blur. Yet we must be cautious. The excitement over efficiency should not overshadow the importance of ethics in governance. We must ensure that automated systems are designed with inclusivity and fairness at their core. As we envision a future where smart contracts and DAOs redefine governance, we must not only celebrate the potential for increased efficiency and reduced corruption, but also engage in meaningful discussions about the ethical implications and societal readiness for such a transformative shift. The question emerges, can we create a society that harnesses the power of technology while remaining grounded in the principles of democracy, accountability, and justice? This is the future we must strive to build, one where automated governance serves not just the mechanics of administration, but the very essence of what it means to be a community.